Welcome to Lifted, elevating the game. Assalamu alaikum, everyone, and welcome to episode 13 of the Lifted podcast series, part number 5, the final part of the Minnesota Tournament interview series. I want to thank everyone again for tuning in, watching, the kind words, the hype that it's building. I mean, Imran Nasser's interview has surpassed all the interviews so far in a matter of 3 days. But I got 2 guests here today that I think hopefully they're gonna surpass all of the views. We'll really see how good their notoriety is. But I want to introduce to you guys the 2 guys you guys will probably be seeing a lot of in the coming days. 2 guys that are big and huge parts of Minnesota Jaffrey sports, chairmen and captains, and they hold all the posts. And to be honest, I want to thank them first before we continue for allowing me to do this for their tournament, for giving me the resources, for allowing me the freedom to do whatever I wanted. So thank you guys. But before I introduce them, the tournament is a couple of days away. These guys are going to lead you into it. They're going to tell you, they're going to talk to you about it a little bit. And then once we get into that, the interview will start. Monti, Salemohamed, Maythum, Mehdi, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate your time. I know we're a few days away. I know you guys are busy. You have some crazy schedules, but thank you so much for making the time and being here.
Thanks, Salman, for having us, man. We've enjoyed your podcasts. Hopefully this one will be a hit and won't be too boring.
I hope so.
But thanks for all the time that you put in for this, and your team that helps with editing and whoever's in the background.
Thank you.
Keeps things alive and excited to see this weekend what happens.
Yeah, thanks. Monty, welcome aboard.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Appreciate the opportunity. This is, I think, our second time doing this.
Yeah.
Second time.
Yeah. So we didn't get the opportunity to be spoken with you.
Yeah. Interviewed by me. Yeah.
Also, I also want to thank all the other people who participated in the interviews as well and supporting us. I appreciate it.
Yes, for sure. Thank you guys. Anything you guys have to say about the tournament? Anything that we need to know before? I know the captain's meeting is tomorrow. I know the women's already have their women already had their captain's meeting. Anything you want to throw in there? Just kind of tell anybody anything about the teams. Hey, we're starting at this time. We want to end by this time. Anything. This is your chance.
I mean, the biggest thing I have to say is, if you have something to say about the schedule, there will be kites outside, and you can go and fly them if you want. The amount of times you've adjusted the schedule has been ridiculous. But a couple of things to look forward to is anybody who's missing out and who won't be there. Right. The live stream is definitely going to be really sick.
All right, yeah.
So we just got it working yesterday. We have a drone. So you'll see parts of that in the last day and probably on Friday and Saturday, a portion of it. But Sunday playoffs are definitely going to be a big hit. So if you're not there, hopefully you feel like you're a part of it. We're trying our best to make sure of that. And then I don't want to give too much away. Some of you guys probably already heard because word spreads pretty fast. But the players won't have to do as much work when it comes to reffing. And I'll leave it at that.
Right.
Both on the men's side and women's side. So the goal is, really, we want the participants to enjoy and come out and have a fun weekend. And hopefully we get to that goal this weekend.
Yeah, for sure. The rumblings are there about some sort of, help on the side of refereeing and stuff. But yeah, we'll leave that for the captain's meeting and we'll let you address that there. Let's start off the bat, guys. We'll make it quick. I know you guys don't have much time, so let's make it quick here. Off the bat, Maythum, Mehdi, we'll start with you. What is your first introduction to the game of volleyball? Because we've heard stories about, you seeing Sammy, you asking Sammy for his autograph. I also remember a small little Maythum Mehdi in 2011 calling the ball in, which was very, very much out. But, we made him cry. That was a long story. But anyways, where is your first introduction to volleyball and when did you truly fall in love with the game?
So somehow, some way, I always find my way in some like weird story and weird stuff that happens. But I don't remember what year it was. Do you know there was a tournament in LA?
Yes.
I don't know what year it was, but
I think it was 2007. I think.
Yeah, I think it was some Vancouver player that year that hit his head really badly. He was lifting a ball. It was that same tournament, whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
And I had my we went to Disney for that trip, and I had my book, and you know, I was always into volleyball for some reason. Just like I'd go Friday nights, even if we have to go watch them, I'll just go watch. Just
Yeah.
you know, we don't have to be there. So we went for the tournament. I was so excited, and all of a sudden I see this guy pull up, got the headband on, full
Yeah.
green,
Yeah.
tall, swaggy,
Yeah.
and I was like, "Yo, who is this guy?" I saw him playing,
Yeah.
and I still remember that day. And I asked for his autograph after, and I asked for, I think I asked for Coastal Uncle's autograph too, but I don't really remember for sure. But I know for sure Sammy I did, and I was just, and then I went home and I told my nanny, I was like, I got Sammy's autograph. He's like,
Yeah.
Sammy, you know he's our cousin, right? I was like, he's our cousin.
No
Like,
way.
okay, cool. But
That's
that was
awesome.
a really cool moment for me. And then from there, just kept on going. Always was interested. And then 2011 comes around, first tournament Minnesota holds, and I refed, and I never looked back again. And
We all know what happened there, right?
shoes were thrown.
Right.
I don't know, it was a wild
Shoes
day,
were thrown.
but yeah, it was definitely a lot of experience in that perspective. So I've always loved being around everybody that comes to these tournaments.
For sure, for sure. Monty, where does your start begin? When do you truly start to, you know, fall in love with the game? When do you first look at it? And I know you're younger, right, than Maythum, but like, when does your first initial love for the sport grow?
So growing up in Minnesota, you know, we have a really small community.
Yeah.
So if what you basically do whatever your friends are doing, right? So as
Yeah,
soon as you
pretty much.
as you turn 13, you get the opportunity to go to volleyball and different sports activities that we have in the gym. As soon as I turned 13, I started going to volleyball. I was with Maythum having the drums in 2011 in the finals.
Yes.
And yeah, so honestly, as soon as I saw that, I saw JJ on the floor. I still remember after that last point, everybody just rushed the court, and it's just ever since then, it's just been like, you know, as soon as I turn 13, I'm gonna get into it. And
yeah, for sure. You guys watched that 2011 team win that championship at home. Made them for you up close and personal, right? Was that a big force in your love for the game, because you were like, hey man, these guys won? I mean, for a hometown team, Minnesota, a small community. I mean, you know, winning in the MPC, like all those things. I remember at that time we were still raising funds for the MPC, right? It was crazy. That was 12 years ago, right? And now 12 years later, you guys are reaping the benefits of that, and we're playing tournaments in that gym. What was that time like, watching Imran Walji and Mohamed Walji and Kamil Ruwala and Ahmed Ruwala and all those guys win a championship? It must have felt like, wow, man, this is great for the community, especially.
Yeah, it was different. I think it, like, I don't know, sports has a weird thing. Like, it brought everybody together in a different way.
Yeah.
It also lighted the next generation of volleyball players like myself. And that tournament was not only me, there was like 10 other guys that started. It was our first tournament.
Yeah.
So it got all of us going. And then they won, and it just made it even more better, and made us more motivated, because, you know, we wanted to try and reach, obviously, at one point where they got to, and, you know, it was a cool accomplishment, what they got to do. And I think they did something very special for this community. Like, we always, anybody talks about the gym remembers that day.
Yeah. The moment you walk into the gym, right, that's the first thing you see. You see their pictures, you see their trophies, right? And hopefully you guys soon enough will have yours right next to them. But you're right. It's a piece of the Minnesota community that you started seeing Minnesota more at tournaments. You started seeing the new generation of kids come up, and the older generation, where, you know, for example, like that was a bridge almost, right? Because Amu had done so much for the previous generation. Then it was the Imran Walji generation with all those guys, and now it's your generation. So it's like, it's crazy how that bridge almost showed that, you listen, like, you know, this community is growing. This community does have the passion. Maythum, when do you get your first crack on the A team? Because shortly after that, we all know some of the guys that were on that championship team stopped playing, and it kind of opens the door for you to get in, and for the young guys to start playing, getting onto the team. I remember you guys in 2012 Orlando, where you guys had the highlight shirts and the kid, you know, all the kids were together. But when was your first true opportunity to get onto the A team, and when did you see that door open for you?
The first time was Al Wahda. I think it was 2013.
Mhm.
And unfortunately, the A team kind of started falling apart.
Right.
You know, I think obviously hurt me as well because like I feel like I could have gotten better faster if they were there. And I wouldn't have mind being like a third line player, whatever it was. It just helped the practice them being there. But
Of course.
it is what it is. That was the first time I went. We didn't do very well. But again, another experience under my belt, so it helped.
Yeah, exactly. Monty, for you, it comes a little bit later, but what made you want to become a netty? I mean, why become a netty? And you know, for Maythum, understandably, the spots were opening up on the sides, but you know, for netty, like what made you want to become a netty and then make it onto the A team eventually?
So for me playing net, it honestly wasn't something that I wanted to do. When I first started playing volleyball, when I turned, I was a front left, a front right, and I played what years? Probably like 4 years. I played front right. Never went to a tournament. I was ass. Like I was so bad at volleyball. Like it got to a point where all my friends would go to volleyball and I wouldn't want to go.
Really?
Because I was so bad. Like, I was like, what's the point of doing this? Like I'm not going anywhere with this.
Right.
And one day we were chilling at Amu's house, and Maythum calls me outside. He wants to, yo, I want to have a private conversation with you. I'm like, okay, what's wrong? You know, everything is good.
Right.
Dude, your ass.
What a combo.
Come to our tournaments, right? Because all my boys are going to all these tournaments, like these 2013, like you're saying, like I wasn't at any of these. Right. Yeah. I was playing, just was really bad.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, and then we had a shortage of nets. So like Kumalaka came out of the net.
Yes.
Awalji came out of the net. Mazire also wanted to come out of the net, and then Sib was getting older. Shafiq was getting older as well.
Yes.
So it's like those guys had different different priorities as well.
Of course.
So like, yo, this is your only chance to, if you actually want to come to these tournaments and actually want to like fight with us, you're gonna have to go to the net. I was like, you know what? Sure, let me try it. And then I remember we practiced every single day. We went for like one whole summer. Me and Maythum, we went to the gym every single day.
No way.
Working. And then, eventually I just kind of got good at it. And then,
netty is not a position that a lot of kids really, they learn playing it at an early age, but it's a lot of them don't want to stick there. A lot of them want to get out. We talked about this recently, a couple of friends of mine, and we were sitting there and debating it. Like, you see a lot of netties wanting to come out nowadays. And it's almost because they realize how much of a toll it takes on your body, right? It's almost like it's a very underappreciated position. And it almost sometimes is one of those things where, like, you know, you put your body on the line. Yeah, you're not in the line of fire. Yeah, you're not getting hit at, but you can't mislift the ball. And if you mislift the ball, you've completely put your team on defense the entire time. So I don't think people understand how much netties are needed in this game, how much they're appreciated now. I think more so than ever, the spotlight needs to be on them a little bit more. And if you notice, like a lot of kids want to come, you know, they play net, but they wouldn't want to come out and play. You're a little bit opposite, right? You play now. They told you were a butt, so you went back into the net. So it's one of those things, man. It's scary because I feel like we might lose some netties in the future.
Honestly, you're right, 100%. Like even now, like with everybody here in Minnesota, like everybody our age, I guess, everybody started in net.
Yeah.
And nobody stayed. But for me, it's like the netty is the quarterback.
100%.
Right? For example, if you have a quarterback throwing a back shoulder throw to a wide receiver, that's where he wants a wide receiver to go.
Exactly.
Right? If I'm ball to Maythum on the right side, or if I'm lifting to Imran,
you're calling the game. Yeah.
That's where I want him to go, right?
Yeah.
And it's honestly, like, for how bad I was, I didn't enjoy it. So for me, like, I don't ever see myself coming out because, like, I'm not gonna have fun playing out. Like,
exactly. And I remember you and I had a conversation. I want to say pre-pandemic, maybe before the Minnesota tournament, and we were talking. And I think I came to your practice, and you were telling me like, "Yo, what do I need to do to improve?" And I told you, I was like, "Monty, you got all the skills, bro. You got every single skill possible, but now you got to differentiate yourself and be a game caller. You got to call the game." That's what differentiates Mikal Darcy and Safe and Hassan Manekia and Adil Moradina and all these guys. They become they call the game. They're like the offensive coordinator, right? Like they tell you where to throw the ball. They tell you who's going to be open. They tell you where the holes are, and you've done that. And we'll get into that in a little bit. So a lot of hard work. I know you went, but now we're going to talk about Maythum because Maythum starts early on, right? A couple of years before you, Maythum from 2013 to about 2016. Before Monty joins you, you got a little bit of a journey that's very up and down. But we'll start with Al Wahda. When you get to play on the Minnesota A team, you guys don't qualify. 2 years removed, obviously you coming into this team knowing that a lot of those guys, and you mentioned it, right, kind of hurt you a little because you come into this team. Yeah, okay, fine, you get your opportunity, but it's not the same team that won. It's a very different team. Did you, when you didn't qualify for that first tournament, being on the A team, obviously representing Minnesota for the first time on the A team, was it a little bit of a downer? Like, damn, like we didn't even qualify. Like, is this going to take much longer than I thought to get back to the top?
Yeah, it definitely hurt a lot. Especially for, I'm still pretty crazy on the court with all my extra actions and stuff, but like back then I was even more frustrated.
I'm sure. I'm sure.
And but I guess I'm just competitive, so that's the only thing it came down to. But yeah, it was definitely frustrating, 100%. But I'll full props to Imran, because I think with the type of caliber player that he is, he could have easily just walked away. But even when you didn't qualify, he was like, "It's all good. It's gonna take time to get you to make the run." So he always kept on telling me that.
It was definitely a rebuild, like a full-on rebuild, because a lot of those guys left. It's not like 2-3 pieces leave. It's like 4 or 5 of them left. And now you got to find replacements of every single one. And there wasn't enough at that time to figure it out. Right after Awada, you go to Marhaba, don't qualify again. But you start to slowly see a team like, and if you really look at it, that was 2014. And it's crazy to think 2014, 2023, that backline, the inception of it, of you, Masain, and Imran started in 2014, Marhaba. 9 years later, 8 years later, you're seeing the fruits of your guys' labor. But that team had Aliaskar Walji, so young, right? Kumel Laka Senior, so young. Hassan Mullah, young, right? Like, so a lot of young pieces. Obviously, you, Imran, and Masin in the back. It was kind of, it looks like you guys were just trying to figure out what's going to work. Who's going to be able to play where. And Marhaba for New York also was a tournament like that. We were just trying to figure out who's going to play where. A lot of the things in Marhaba and I don't know if it was the same for you guys, but there's a lot of things that didn't work for us. The court size, the ball weight. I mean, it was just all over the place. I remember Shanu Kimji telling me, man, the ball is super light. And I'm like, dude, it's a balloon. And he's like, you know what? I'm gonna go and check the PSI on it. And he brings the PSI and it's 8 pounds. And it's like, what? Like, we've been playing with an 8-pound ball for like a day and a half. So a lot of things weren't really like, conducive of having a strong tournament for us. But nonetheless, it was, we're all trying to kind of make the pieces work. A few months later, you guys go to our case, 2014, and you guys don't qualify again. So now that's 3 straight tournaments you don't qualify. And I'm sure, again, like you talk about your competitive nature, you're like, you want to at least make the quarters, right? Yeah, you don't qualify once, you don't qualify again, but the third time around, you kind of want to qualify now, because then it becomes like almost like, what are we doing here? Was that tough? That like now you're, and I know you talk about Imran, but what was Imran like during that time with you? Because I know you two were kind of the pillars, right? So like, what are you telling each other after 3 straight tournaments of not qualifying? Like, what is the thought process here?
I think our biggest thing was commitment. It was tough to find players that were committed to come for every tournament. Like, that was one issue. He was more like pushing on, like, it's all good, bro. Like, it's gonna take us time to get this thing where we need to be. But it was definitely really tough. I think the most frustrating part is when you're so invested into it, but then the others aren't as invested.
Exactly.
We had like a good like handful that were invested, but then we had the other ones that kind of fell off.
Yeah.
And we're not winning, so who the heck wants to be a part of something like that?
Exactly.
There's everything. So if you're not doing that, like, it's hard to convince everybody to come. So that made it difficult.
If you don't mind me asking, how old are you now?
I'm 27.
So 27, right? We're talking about 2013. That's 10 years ago. You're a 17-year-old kid. You're an 18-year-old kid. Like, you're still kind of learning the ropes. You're figuring out your own game. You don't really know, you're capable of. You're learning, you're getting your experience, but at the same time, it's like, wow, we're not gaining experience because we're not qualifying. And sometimes you can say, yeah, fine, tournament to tournament, you're gonna gradually get better. But in 3 straight tournaments, you don't qualify. Sometimes you're like, where's the experience? I need to be in a qualifying game to feel that pressure, to feel that, that thing. 2014 comes, Lake Helen. You guys don't come. I know Imran Walji, I believe, comes with the team. But Minnesota doesn't attend that tournament. We reached 2015 New York, a good showing for you guys. You reached the round of 16, a full young team now, because Imran's not there. Imran, I believe, was playing for Vancouver or didn't come to that tournament, one of the two. But you guys, he didn't come to that tournament, right? So you guys have a full-on young team. You're playing in the center. I remember playing you guys actually in that tournament. It was a very close game. Like you guys took us down to the wire. So a lot of people saw the potential. You get to lead a young team. When I say young, I mean not counting Amu. Amu's on the team, so let's not count Amu on that one. But you're leading a young team and you're trying to figure it out. But then 2015 comes and Imran's back, right? So now Imran can attend. Sorry, our case 2015. Imran can attend that, and I think that's where, for the first time, 2013 Al Wahda, 2014 Marhaba, 2015 New York. You're not qualifying. You're not qualifying. You're not qualifying. But then that I think that push happens. That you know that sometimes you just need that magic, and that magic happens in 2015 Arcades, right? And I think everyone who saw Imran that day, saw you that day, you can tell Imran was different. Imran was jumping. Imran was out of the, you can tell when Imran's in the game, like he wants to win it bad. You wanted to win it bad. Masen wanted to win it bad. Like you can just tell, right? That team comprised of you, Imran Walji, and Altaz in the back line. Kumel Laka, senior, in the front center. Alias Kowalji and Masin on the sides. Mamdu and KLJ in the net. I call him KLJ for Kumel Laka Jr. in the net, okay? You take down the two-time champions in 2014. 2014, Orlando had won Marhaba. They'd won Lake Helen. You guys come in and take him down in the quarterfinals in 3 games in the last point. Tell me about that time before we get into the video. I want you to tell us, what was your thought process when you drew Orlando in the quarterfinals, when you saw that, okay, wow, we got to play Orlando, coming off of tournaments that you weren't qualifying for. Like, what was on your mind? Like, did you think you could take them?
Yeah, I knew we could take them, but the night before they like rocked us. I think I gave up 13 points that game. Like
Really?
they were like OG Orlando.
Right.
Everybody's just coming. I mean, they did it again this past time. But yeah, I mean, but they just came so many times. Imran Jivraj had I think one of his highlight hits of his career.
Yes, I believe. Yeah, it hit your head or something, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I was so finished. I was frustrated. But again, after I was like, I still remember after that game, I told them, I was like, I hope we catch them again. I know we can get these guys back. Like just the way they were, like to me, I just took it like, not that they were disrespectful, but I took it, my mentality was like so disrespectful. So I'm going to make sure I'm here for the next one. Like I just took it that way.
Right.
And then I think actually that quarters game, they purposely wanted to play us. I think something happened that it got moved and they caught us. Something happened with that. And then, yeah, it is what it is after that.
It's funny that you say that because when I was young, like you, 17, 18, coming to those 2012 Orlando tournaments, watching my friends win, I remember telling Hilal, KJ, all these guys, they used to do a lot of things like to irk me, to irritate me, like when I'm playing against them. They would dance after a point and they would do stuff like that just because they were my boys, right? So they were trying to get under my skin. And I would use that as motivation. Like, you know what, man, next time I catch you, I'm going to get you. 2012, I remember they beat us in Lake Brantley, like really badly in Orlando. Like they just demolished us. And their whole time they were celebrating and dancing. And I made our team believe that in 2013, like, yo, we need to get these guys back. We catch them, we got to get them back. And in 2013, we meet them in the quarters in New York. And you're right. I use that same drive that you're talking about. Like, I'm going to make sure, I'm going to make sure they never dance again. Like, you know what I'm saying? And we beat them in that quarterfinal. You do the same thing here. You guys beat them. If anybody hasn't watched the videos, put in 2015 RK's Minnesota versus Orlando. And do yourself a favor. Watch the entirety of it. But if you can, watch the last 10 minutes. Because what you'll do is, and I would ask you to do this, is every time you watch the final point or the last 3 points, last 2 points, go back and watch a different player. So that's what I did, right? I go back 2 minutes and watch Masen. I go back 2 minutes, I watch Altaz. I go back 2 minutes, I watch Imran. But then when you keep Maythum for the end. Keep Maythum for the end. Because Maythum's celebration, Maythum is like a commentator, but on the court. If you watch him the last 3 minutes, his hands are on his head. He doesn't believe what's happening. Arfley hits a third ball out when they had the serve, and it's like, oh my God, what's gonna happen? And if you watch Maythum, you'll feel it. Like, if you watch Altaz, you won't feel it because Altaz, after you guys win, he just does this. you know, like this. Like that's all that's a celebration. But you guys, but Maythum celebration is like, wow, I feel that. Imran Walji takes that point. Let's move to after it was drawn 1-1, like before you get to the game theory. Maythum, do you think after beating them one game that, yo, we can beat these guys? Like, are you confident now that you can take the series?
Yeah, we were confident after we took that game.
Imran takes the last point. What's going on in your mind in that last minute? What's your thought process? Tell me how you celebrated the way you did, where everyone is jumping towards Imran, but you fall over, hit somebody, end up on the bleach, like the chairs, all by yourself. You're crying. Obviously, a big win. I don't blame you. I've cried after wins. I think you had a little mustache at that time. What was that time like for you? What were you thinking? You were elated, like all the emotion was pouring out of you. What was that time like?
I don't know. I felt like finally the first time I actually felt like we did something. At the time, it was like just meant like a lot, especially after that Saturday. Like I was so angry with how I played and just like I just was so disappointed. I honestly don't even know what I did as my reaction at the end. I cannot tell you how I ended up there.
Yeah.
All I remember is I was like I don't even know how it happened. Like that was one of the definitely the coolest feelings I'll always remember.
Yeah.
But I was crazy, man. Even like I watch it and not anytime recent, but like I watched it and I'm like, man, I'm just like a mess on the court. Like one time going like this, one time like this.
It's like,
you know,
all
like,
the emotions
like,
of it.
you have a player like Jeff who just, you know, like he has no
Jeff is just like no emotion. Yeah. It's like what?
So like it's a whole like I don't know, it's like a whole story going on. But I don't know, I guess it was yeah, I was a mess, but man, that was one of the
taking down the best team at that time, in my opinion. Like that must have felt amazing. Like I know you walked into that semifinal and you lost. I think you guys played Jaffrey's, if I'm not mistaken. I think
we played Faisal.
Played Faisal. You guys played Faisal that tournament. Yeah, sorry. You guys played Faisal. That was 2016. You guys played Jaffrey's. But 2015, you guys played Faisal. So whatever. At that point, it's like, listen, if we're gonna get destroyed, we're gonna get destroyed by Faisal. But I mean, I must have felt like what were your guys thinking? What was everyone like? What was like the vibe after that win?
Well, I mean, like we were just like going nuts. Like we were just like, oh my God, we just took out like the best team, arguably the best team that's been there. Number one. Yeah. And then number two is like we got rocked the night before.
Exactly.
And everybody's like going crazy, you know. I still remember Hassan Mullah, he's like, yo, we have to take out Setbacks, make sure I don't get nudged. Like, something's gonna happen. Like, I'm like, nah, it's all good, we'll take care of it. But like it just was, I think really now you're talking about it, it was our first actual like small accomplishment after all those years. And we finally proved to ourselves, yo, we can actually compete, even though we don't have the best of players yet. We're still practicing, you know, we're trying to rebuild this thing and get it to a point where we can make a run. And finally we saw that we can do it.
Yeah. And exactly.
Yeah, it was a really cool moment.
Yeah. I mean, obviously 2015, you come out of that and a lot of eyes are now on you. A lot of people are like, okay, wait a second, they can make a run here. 2016, the Minnesota tournament gets announced, the Minnesota spring tournament. I'm sure a lot of expectations for you guys, right? To do well at home, no tournament since 2011. The last time there was a tournament in Minnesota, you guys won. This time a little different. All the days will be at Crystal. There was no day at the MPC. So the entirety of it took place in Crystal. And we saw a lot of upsets during that time, right? We saw 786 take down Orlando. We saw Arcades take down Stars. So we saw a lot of things that took place at that time. Home crowd, home court. But we also see the debut of the man sitting right here, Monti. Monti gets a chance to debut at home in his first tournament on the A team. What was that like? Sorry?
My first tournament ever.
First tournament ever. Wow. So you went straight on to the A team.
Yeah, 100%.
Wow. So you've never played for a B team?
No, I've never played for a B team. I don't want to sound cocky. I've never not qualified either.
Wow. Wow. I have never played for a B team also, but I have not qualified. Monty, tell me about that time, getting your chance on the A team. Like, what was that like? Like, man, okay, fine, home tournament, man. I'm going to get a chance to be on the A team. What was that like?
Yeah. No, honestly, it was amazing. Thankfully, I actually had started playing netty, I would say probably 6 months before that tournament.
Wow.
And like I said, we were working. We go to the gym every day. And oh my God, I don't think I've ever been more nervous in my entire life.
I'm sure.
The first game we played was
You're nervous right now.
I am nervous right now. The first game we played.
Lights off.
We're good. We're good. We're good. Okay, so the first game we played, I don't remember who it was against, but it was against some B team.
Okay.
And I remember I got one ball, and I was so hyped after.
Right.
And yeah, and then it was just. It was really nerve-wracking. I got Mikasa that tournament.
In the net.
Yeah, I got Mikasa.
Oh God.
Yep.
Wow.
It was against Orlando B.
Do you know who's on that team that tournament?
No, I don't have it here, but it kind of similar team, no?
No. It was a mix of that old A team and us.
Yeah.
So Kazim Muhammad.
Oh, Kazim was on the team. You're right. Kazim Muhammad, right?
Mel was there.
Mel was there. Yeah.
So we thought, you know what, it'll be nice, like
To get everyone back together, hometown tournament, we can make this work. And yeah, that didn't work as well as you thought because you guys end up playing Stars in the quarterfinals. Now, there was a finesse there, right? We all know about it, that you guys dropped to play Stars. So I believe there was a bye given at some point, so you guys can face Stars. Durab took that as fuel. You fueled the wrong guy, and then the next morning, that's what happens. You guys get taken down 2 straight in the quarterfinal. A little disappointment, Maythum, in your guys' mind. Like, man, like we brought all the old guys together, we brought all the young guys together. Hometown tournament, you know, we should be in at least the semis in this tournament.
Big time, big disappointment. But it was a blessing after all, just because we knew that maybe it is time to give these guys a shot, the younger guys a shot.
Exactly.
This is the way to go. And I think some of those guys that weren't, who had arguably an opportunity to just say, let's keep on building. Maybe it's not go for the dub.
Exactly.
They were on the team. And this just gave more confidence. Yo, we got this. Let's just keep going. Let's be patient. Whoever sticks with it is going to be there for us. And
for the long
people
haul.
who want to be there, they fell off. And it is what it is.
It is what it is. Exactly. 2016 comes around and we see you guys back at Arcades just a couple months later. No Altaz, but an even better replacement in JJ, right? JJ comes on and plays with you guys. Monty, you're there. You guys make the semis again. Okay, so a better result than your previous tournament and a harder tournament, in my opinion. And then another, again, 2015, you guys make the semis. So back-to-back semis at the Arcades tournament, which is very hard to accomplish. But you guys end up playing Jaffrey's, right? So that's tough. You guys fall short. What was that time like, Monty? Like, okay, we made the semis. We look good. A lot of expectations on your mind now moving into the next few tournaments after Arcades 2016.
Yeah, I mean, even going into Arcades 2016, I'd only played in one tournament, and I believe that the Minnesota tournament, Jaffrey's weren't there.
Yeah, they weren't. Yeah.
Those are the ones. That's the one when.
Yes.
The one when. So Jaffrey's weren't there, right? So I'm going into the semis like, yo, we're about to win. Like, right. I don't even know who these guys are. Munna Kizurak, he jumps really high, but I don't know who the hell he is. But hey,
yeah.
See,
yeah,
like,
exactly.
We're gonna win.
Yeah.
So I had a lot of confidence going into it.
Right.
We got rocked.
Yeah, we got murked. But I mean, it was a good stepping stone for all of us. Like, I feel like more experience we gathered from that tournament.
Maythum, before we get into 2016 Sunshine, a common factor in the last 2 Arcade semifinals is that you guys had an outside player, Altaz, JJ. Could be a result of the fact that like you said, you didn't have enough committed guys coming to these tournaments. And sometimes when you're rebuilding, you got to get players from outside. I know those are good results. Making the semifinals in those tournaments is an amazing result, especially for a young team working out their kinks, trying to grow. But does a part of you feel like, do you feel like, okay, we're good and we can do this? Or do you feel like, man, we needed help to make that happen? What was your mindset? Because it's hard to do it with your own guys sometimes, and you got to deal with it. But not taking an outside player, those players are good, right? They help. What was your mind like? Were you thinking, no, we need that for now just to kind of build our other guys?
So in the moment, I think, in the moment, I think we did need help. We just were not getting enough players at practice. Our quality of practice was not good enough.
Yeah.
just where there was better. I mean, Masen could be a solution for the back line, but in the front line, he was playing so much better, so much more confident.
Yeah.
And now I look at it like Altaz and JJ, like them being there showed us how that position can be played. And I think it helped us grow some of that position. So thankfully they were able to get there. But I mean, I think I don't know if New York had pretty good solid amount of players that come to practice, but really a small community, it's hard to get people committed, man.
It is. Yeah, no doubt.
Really difficult. And yeah, there's two ways to look at it. Like give somebody else a chance, but like there's a process to it. Like you got to be committed. I think that's huge. You know, you're spending all this money and it's a vibe and whatever, but yeah.
Yeah, 100%. You're right. New York, Minnesota, not much smaller, but maybe, 3/4 of what New York is. And New York, we had a good amount of players though. We had 40 players. So, and committed players. And there was times like, we'd have 2-3 practices a week. So we were able to do that. But you're right, Minnesota, a little different. And that's why we'll get to later on the avenue that you took and how much, respect I have for that. But we'll talk about that later. 2016 ends pretty well for you guys. You make the semis again in the Sunshine Tournament. And again, a very difficult tournament to play. And under those conditions, the net was tough. The ball was flying out a little bit. Like it was not conducive of what we were used to. But again, unfortunately, you hit Jaffrey's in the semifinals, which everyone knows. After that, Jaffrey's and Orlando have an epic 3-game battle. So almost like we're good enough because the other semis was us and Orlando. So Minnesota, New York, we're all kind of like very similar, right? We're good enough to maybe make the semis, to maybe 5, 10, 12% chance we're going to make the finals. But, you can tell our teams weren't there. Like the caliber, we still needed one more notch. Monty, what was that time like? You make back-to-back semis. You play a very tough opponent. Back-to-back times you're playing Jaffrey's. Now you know who they are, right? Like now you just saw them. Now you know who they are. Are you like optimistic? Or are you like, damn, man, like we just can't get over that hump now?
Honestly, to be completely honest with you, I wasn't even thinking about any of that at that time. Sunshine was my first tournament playing main net.
Yeah, the other times you're playing side.
The other times I was playing sides. I'm going from lifting maybe like 20 to 25 balls a whole tournament to getting 20, 25 balls a game.
Exactly.
So me, it was more about, just trying to like play up to these guys' level, right?
Yeah.
Because I started way after them, and I was just trying to basically kind of make my mark in a way. Right. But I feel like getting into that, going to RKs, making that semis, and now making the semis in Orlando, I feel like we were just on an up.
Exactly.
Like we were going. Like we finally have
figured it out. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It was just a few little humps that we needed to get over to finally make that push.
Exactly. Maythum, for you, obviously a lot of optimism. For a guy who was 2013, you saw the way the team was dwindling. And now to see the uprise, right? 2016, you guys are making back-to-back semis. You guys are making semis year over year. A lot of optimism heading into 2017 for you?
Yeah, big time. That was huge. And then at that time, we didn't have any outside players. So that was big. We knew, this is definitely going the right direction.
Yeah.
Joffreys are just too good for us.
Yeah.
Just straight up, just, old school just kicked our butt. And it's okay. It is what it is.
Finally, 2017 is like, for you, it's like, 2016 is like, okay, no outsiders. We're doing it on our own. I believe that tournament you hit your head on the floor, got concussed, if I'm not mistaken, or like almost concussed, right? Like you hit your head really bad. 2017 sees some of the Minnesota guys coming to Vancouver, but as TNA, right? It was like Team North America, kind of wasn't Minnesota. And then Al Wahda happens that year. You guys don't attend that. So 2017 kind of becomes a wash year for you guys. So a lot of momentum coming out of 2016, but 2017, sometimes the tournaments just don't line up. Guys are busy, guys are this. It happens, right? But something does happen in 2017, which was pretty freaking cool. And Imran Nasser talks about that in his interview. And I wanted to ask you, Monty, tell me about your experience with USA. What was that time like with Safe, Swaggy, Maythum, Masen, Bode, Imran Nasser, Jay Singh? I mean, a super cool team, like put together for fun. Imran Nasser said one of the best times he's had, loved playing with you guys. What was that time like for you, Monty? Playing with 2 other netties, right?
Yeah, so actually, Swaggy couldn't play.
Right, Swaggy couldn't play. Shane was there too, right? Yeah.
So Swaggy was injured. So I honestly, it was a dream come true for me because from the first time I ever watched like proper volleyball in Minnesota 2011, I saw Safe play. And then all these songs, till this day, when it comes to the best netty of all time, in my opinion, I'm always gonna say Safe. So it was honestly surreal. It was honestly surreal because I got to play with like the guy I based my whole game off of.
Right.
Like, you know, like all this day, if I'm trying to figure something out, if I don't know what to do, I'm gonna call Safe, like, yo, what do you think I should do here?
Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
But even playing with like Imran Nasser, Bode, Khalil Goss.
Khalil Goss was on that team. Yeah.
Yeah, like, man, that was so much fun. We didn't do that well. I know we ended up losing to Imran.
Yeah, in the semis.
Yeah, in the quarters, right? Yeah.
I still remember like Imran, we always called him Gary. Just we were going Gary, like we were chanting at Imran.
No way.
So much, and I think they beat us by like 16.
Yeah, they rocked us.
Yeah.
Wow.
Man, it was amazing. Like those guys.
Who was he playing for?
He was on the Throb.
Oh, that's the tournament.
Yeah, the hour.
Yeah, Ashwa. It was like some like 2 hour away court.
It was the Faisal Banji tournament where they won the final against Jaffrey's, right? He had Banji with him too. The Stars had Banji. You guys, that tournament, it's so crazy how it happened because I believe Safe and their flight gets canceled. They rent a car, they drive in. But to me, what made that tournament was so funny and so cool was that number one, all these, you know, fun guys, cool guys getting together. And then random mix of people. But then there's videos, so many funny videos, man. Like Jay has showed me so many funny videos. You guys are talking about the game, talking shit about the game. Like you're watching a game, talking bear shit, sleeping in between the tournaments. Like everyone's knocked out, guys eating like the funniest thing, man.
Oh, no. You don't remember? All right, let me tell you a story, Salman.
Okay.
At that time, Maythum wanted to be a PT.
Yes, I remember this.
Yeah. At a physical therapy clinic, and he knew how to give massages.
Right.
So right next to the door, Jay lays there without a shirt on. Maythum is on top of him. I think I saw the video on my phone.
There's so many funny videos from that time. And it's funny because like on and off the court, that team looked like a good time. So, I mean, an experience that all these guys talk about. Every single person that talks about that team never says anything bad. They said they had the greatest time. Even though you got out in the quarters, it was just fun, right? 2018 comes New York. Pretty much the place where you truly know where you're leveled out, right? The barometer of tournaments, where it's the biggest tournament, allow all the teams show up. You kind of get to gauge now how good you truly are, right? Up against all of it. You guys come in, a lot of talk about Minnesota. You know, they're going to be a contender. Again, you know, 24 plus teams. So being top four is very difficult. And you guys have been the top four now for a couple of tournaments. So a lot of people are counting you in. You guys make it to the quarterfinals and unfortunately, again, hit Orlando. You lose a two straight. It was pretty bad, right? I remember the games. It was rough. At this point, I want to hear from you both. Maythum, with you first. What's going through your mind? Are you thinking, damn, we're far away still from Orlando, Stars, you know, Jaffrey's. Like, we're not there yet. Or was it like, oh, just a bad tournament? It happens.
I think it was just a bad tournament. We tried a couple of new pieces as well. And I think it was worth it. Like if it worked out that they were going to continue playing, it would be for the better.
Right.
So that was a risk that we took for that tournament. And we tried something new with that. But I think ultimately, it was a good tournament. I didn't take that one negatively. Like it was
didn't
good.
take that too hard. Monti, for you, how was that? Right, you kind of got spoiled. Quarterfinal, 2016, semifinal. Like now back to the quarters and getting smacked out of the quarters. What was that like for you?
That was humbling, very very humbling. Honestly, we were, like for me personally, I was going to look. We made it to 2 straight semis.
Exactly.
This could be the one. We know that.
Exactly.
The finals, this one. And man, we played bad in round robin. We lost to Orlando C.
Wow. Yes, I was linesman that game. I remember. Yusuf Juma and Maythum Cabana and those guys. Yeah.
Malaka Senior.
He was like, I got my revenge, right? Yeah.
Till this day, he doesn't stop talking about beating us.
Yeah, I could imagine. I remember that game actually.
But no, it was. I think it was a good experience for us because it kind of showed us that holy shit, there's still a lot left. Like we thought we were close, but we're a lot farther than we thought we were.
Yeah, true. I agree. 2018 is a very weird year. Al-Wilaya happens at the end of the year. Not many U.S. teams go to that. It almost becomes like everyone is looking forward to 2019 Minnesota, right? So now 3 years removed from 2016, you guys are much better, much got the pieces in finally, figured out everything, right? Know where to put your guys, know what works, knows what doesn't, who can hang, who can't. And the team is looking strong. And you guys, in 2016, you guys from 2016 to 2019, you were stuck. You were that quarterfinal, semifinal, quarterfinal, semifinal. Aspirations going into 2019, was it different, Maythum? Like, okay, now we gotta win this one because now you are playing in the MPC on the third day. Now you are gonna have that home court advantage. What was that 2019 tournament like? A lot of pressure on you to kind of make that happen?
Yeah, it was a lot of pressure, for sure. I think it was just self-pressure. Like no one else put pressure, like whatever. But just personal pressure, I put it on myself. Like that was the one tournament. I think actually after many tournaments, I feel like I was really down on myself. Like I was disappointed. We should have gotten to the finals. We got to get over this hump on Orlando.
Yeah.
They're too good, man. Like they just straight up kicked our butt again. And, we just got it again. And I was, that tournament hurt, but yeah.
2019 for you, Monty, you see Imran Walji go and play in 2017 for Stars. So Imran Walji, while yes, he's part of the rebuild and he's feeling the same pain you guys are, he's still going to play with Stars and winning championships. And he understands that. You guys don't have that feeling. You guys are not getting that feeling. Losing to Orlando in that semifinal, which was, by the way, down to the wire. If you look at both the games you guys lost, down to the wire. I mean, it could have gone any which way. Arfley had to come into the center. Freddie comes into the game. I mean, they had to work to beat you guys. Tough, Monty, like tough loss, losing now at your gym, like you almost had it in your hands.
Yeah, that was, I think till this day, the hardest loss I've ever felt in my volleyball career. I mean, I think there's still a video of me crying at the end of that one.
Really?
Because that one, it just felt like everything like worked out so perfectly.
It did.
Like we hit Allentown in quarters.
Yes.
And we beat them 2 straight. And then now it's like, you know what? This is the time. This is when we're gonna get over that Orlando hump with the home crowd like behind us, and that one hurt a lot.
There was too much adversity that weekend though. Like
exactly.
2019 was like a blur for me. Like we were just planning stuff. It literally feels like a blur. So I don't even know. Like, yeah, it was.
Yeah, no, that's what I was going to talk about next. That tournament was very tough for you guys because not only you guys had to deal with planning a tournament, but Shamash passes away, and you guys are back and forth on whether we should do it, whether we should not continue the tournament, whether we should continue the tournament, and then obviously North doesn't play, and some guys stopped playing, and it was tough. It was tough because you guys had to manage all that, manage the schedule. We did something in the memoriam of Shamash. But like it was still a somber mood, right? Like all of us were kind of like down because we all loved Shamash so much. Talk to me about that entire time, Maythum. Like what was it like for you having to navigate through all that? I'm sure very tough. You can't even think about your team. You can't even think about winning. You can't even think about all that stuff. Even in the semifinal, I'm sure you're sitting there thinking like, wow, like this was a crazy tournament, man. Like, thankfully we're here, but still like your mind is not all the way there.
No, 100%. Thank God Imran was captain. Because I didn't have to really worry as much about the team, but like, my God, organizing perspective, like it was just ridiculous. Like I don't know. I really don't even know how we got through it, to be honest. Like it was just complete shock that something you plan something for 9 months.
Yeah.
It just really like just dumbs it down for you. Like anything can happen any moment, and it is what it is. You just kind of handle it, and it was tough. I cannot remember a time like that where like
True.
So many opinions. Oh my God, bro.
Yeah. We were there till what, 3 a.m., 4 a.m. trying to figure out if we're gonna play or not. We're not gonna play. We are gonna play. We're not gonna play.
It was like ridiculous, but
the best part, and not to make light of the situation, but the best part was like when we had the meeting, everyone's like, no, we don't want to play because like everyone was upset, right? Obviously, everyone was sad. The moment that meeting ended, everyone's like, man, we should be playing. And I'm like, why don't we just say that? Like, if that's how you felt, you should say it. And I think Shamash would have wanted us to continue. And I think he was, I think, we and credit to you guys, like Monty, obviously Maythum, but Monty, talk to me about like you guys working to now continue this tournament in Shamash's name. Obviously a guy we all loved, a guy we all like had a great, like how everyone has a story with Shamash. He's such a cool dude, right? Like what was that like for you guys that time? And then now obviously doing this tournament in his name.
Honestly, for me, to be honest with you, I wasn't really involved that much into the whole like organizing aspect of it.
Right.
So for me, it was just I mean, this meeting, I wasn't even there. I was in our hotel room and I was like just waiting for Maythum to text me or call me, be like, yo, we're playing or we're
Right.
not playing.
Right.
It was like it was just something that you never expected. Like you before planning, like before going into tournament, you're like, oh, this is gonna happen. This is gonna happen. Let's prepare for this and prepare for that.
Mm-hmm.
But that was just something where it was just like, holy shit,
Yeah, for Shamash, I mean, I can say this much. I played with him for a very long time, played against him for a very long time. One of the nicest human beings you've ever met. One of the coolest guys for a guy to be playing at that level at that age. I mean, remarkable. And to his family and to all the RK guys that he played with and the Edmonton guys that he played with that tournament. I mean, all of them could attest that he was one of the coolest and nicest players you've ever met. Always welcoming, always, willing to go out of his way for you. Anytime he saw someone injured on the floor, he'd come there with his icy hot, just ready to go. You remember that, right? Like he was that dude, man. And a lot of respect for him, a lot of respect for you guys for continuing in his legacy, because I think his family would be very happy. I think he's looking down. He'd be very happy. It was just one of those unfortunate moments, but hey, we're playing in his name and we're going to keep that alive. 2019 actually for you guys ends with a bang, because we see Minnesota and Orlando combine to create this team that comes, a bunch of youth come together and make a team to bring to the Faisal Banji Memorial Tournament in 2019 in the summertime. You guys were playing a very conventional formation, right? Maythum in the back center, Alu in the back left, Masi in the back right, Freddie front right, Alias Kawaji front center, front left was Anu, Monti in the net. And it just seemed normal. It seemed like a regular team, but you guys were doing something very different where Maythum, you'd be the back center and Alu would be the back left, but you guys were sharing third balls. It was like a 1-2 punch almost, right? You'd hit a couple, he'd hit a couple, and it caught everybody off guard because your ball's very different, his ball's very different. And it was like a V, but not a V. You guys were just in your spots. What was that like, Maythum, playing side by side with Alu, figuring that out, that aspect? I mean, I know you did that with Imran for a very long time, so it was kind of maybe easier for you, but getting him involved, having this team, like, what was your aspiration? What were your thought process? Like, was it like, hey, listen, if we're going to win, we're going to need the both of us?
I honestly didn't know what to expect. I was just going with it. Like these guys were like, yo, let's go. Like, I mean, I was of course down because Freddie is a good player.
Yes.
Alu's a good player. Like these are all like top players, especially in our age group. Like they are like definitely top players in our age group. So like I just was like, I don't know what to do. You're like, we just try and make this work. No problem. Like I'm not a player like that. I need touches or I want a certain position. I don't really care. And I think that's what made our team really unique that tournament is we didn't have anybody who was like that was trying to get clout or, they were there to just have fun and, let's make a run. Like everybody's underestimating us right now. Yeah. And I think that's what really made our run very special. And I agree. That was definitely such a cool experience. That was a lot of fun, man.
I remember watching you guys and seeing you and Aliasker, and I was like, man, I hadn't seen something like this in a long time. Like where two players, one playing back center, one playing back left, are sharing third balls and being so effective. The last time I saw that, and I can compare that to, was Abbas Kimji and Shanu Kimji when they were with Arcus. Very much like that, right? One guy's playing back right, but they're both sharing the ball. Like, and it's like, whoa, Shanu's ball is way different. Abbas's ball is way different, and it always caught you off guard. The moment they're both on fire, they're winning championships. And that's what you guys almost did. You guys won. The night before, I remember you guys, I think it was Saturday night, you guys played Jaffrey's. They destroy you. You walk in the next morning finding out, that night up that, listen, we're playing Jaffrey's the next day. Monty, what was that like, knowing, okay, damn, we're playing Jaffrey's tomorrow morning. They just smacked us. What is your thought process? Like, can we win? Were you thinking like, yo, we're going to come in and beat these guys?
Honestly, yeah. We were all at that one rib place in Canada, in Toronto.
Yes.
And we were like, you know what? We don't have anything to lose. Yeah. Right? These guys are the defending champions. They just won in Minnesota. They're bringing that same team back. They slapped us the night before. And we're just like, we're just going to go play because we have nothing to lose. We have no expectations.
It's the hardest team to play, man. Yeah. For sure.
And then it was just like, Shit, it just worked.
Yeah. So funny enough, they win the first game, and everybody in that tournament who had won the first game in their series ended up losing the next two. It was just one of those tournaments. Like it just like the first game, it was like people caught on to each other, and then the next two went to the better team. That morning, you guys were the better team. You guys won two straight. I mean, after they won the first one, you guys won the next two, and you beat the same Jaffrey's team. People don't seem to remember this. This was the same Jaffrey's team that won in Minnesota in 2019. The exact same team that destroyed Orlando in the finals, beat Stars, beat Stanmore. That's the same team you young guys beat because you guys just had a different look, a different strategy, and a different hunger, I think, right? It was almost like, listen, we're going to put it to them. And you guys did. What was the mood like after that? Like knowing like, man, we just took down Jaffrey's in the quarterfinal, Maythum. What was that like?
Yo, that was such a cool feeling. Honestly, a lot of credit to Alu, man. I think that was definitely his outbreak moment.
Yeah, I think so too.
He gets all the credit in the world for that team, for how far we got. He gets majority of the credit. Like Freddie was something else too, but they took us to another level. Even Anu stepped up, bro.
Yeah, Anu played amazing.
And it was just, I felt like, man, again, I just like, I use it as that day, like I used it as how Orlando kicked our butt in our case. For me, I was like, yo, it's fine. Jaffrey's kicked our butt in round robin. It's all that.
We're gonna get
it's
him
all
back,
good.
yeah.
No problem. Yeah, we're gonna get these guys back, you know.
Yeah.
And it was more of a personal. That loss was definitely personal. It was that was Bob.
Yeah, I can see that. Monty, you guys end up playing Stars in the semifinal, but you guys did the wrong thing. You won the first game. And you should have known that anybody who wins the first game does not win the next two. And that's exactly what happened. Stars come back, epic semifinal. You guys go down to the wire. They win the third game. We make the same mistake in the finals. We win the first game. And then, we lose the next two. Losing that semifinal against Stars, but going down with a fight like that, Monty, what was that like? Like, was that experience like, okay, epic battle, we did it, almost got to the finals. And I'll be honest with you, we were hoping you guys wouldn't make the finals. We would have rather played Stars because that round robin, you guys smacked us in the round robin. So we're praying like, please, because you guys have nothing to lose. Stars have everything to lose. So if we're going up against a team that has nothing to lose and we have nothing to lose, you guys had more nothing to lose. You know what I'm saying? It was like one of those things like who had more to lose? And with Stars, it's like you always know that, the spotlight's on them. So I was like, please, 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 let Stars beat them. Stars beat you guys. We end up losing anyways. But I think if we got to the finals, I think you guys could have beaten us that day. Is that your thought process? Like, damn, we just get over Stars. We could have taken down New York.
Actually, before I answer that, going back to our Joffrey's game, a lot of credit goes to Sib. Sib took some crucial balls.
Crazy balls, yeah.
I just watched that game, like I would say, like a couple weeks back, and man, I didn't even realize that Sib was like as effective as he was.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. We won the first game. I know I'm looking at, I think it's me, Masi, and Freddie. We're in the huddle, and we're like, yo, we're about to make it to the finals. Like, we're getting so. Yeah. We got one game left. We beat them. And then I remember in the huddle, Musti he goes, guys, defense. They're going to come out swinging. They're going to come out swinging for the Stars. Mm-hmm. And they didn't. I still remember, like, I was waiting the whole time. I was waiting for, like, the Raptors open up and hit, or even, I don't remember who was playing next to him at that time, but just
Jabber Samir, I believe. Yeah.
Slowed down the game completely. And then, that loss was like, man, like a little bit of a reality check. Because after being Joffrey's, we were like on a high.
Exactly, right? Just beat the defending champions, right? So it was like, you can take on anybody. And that tournament was so competitive. I don't think people realize almost every series went to 3 games. Like the semis, both of them, us North, you guys went to 3 games. A lot of the quarters went to 3 games. The finals went to 3 games. The finals went down to the last minute. Like hella competitive tournament. A lot of people who didn't come to that tournament definitely missed out because it was one of those tournaments where like defense prevailed. It was crazy. It was crazy. And you guys, then the pandemic hits. A lot of aspirations coming into 2020 for New York, for Minnesota. Obviously, we just did well. But the pandemic hits, volleyball slows down, everything changes. We all stopped playing. There was talks about some tournaments in Detroit that never took place. We tried different things. We tried to get it up and running, but it never worked out. I don't know why you're laughing. But anyways, Al Wilaya it comes out that Al Wilaya after the pandemic is going to happen in June. And obviously teams are now starting to see like, wait, can we make it? Can we not? And we hear that Minnesota's not coming, but we also hear that Maythum and Monti are, and they're joining Stars. So now Rob gets his netty. You have now Maythum have to go to play in the front right. Let's start with you, Maythum. What was that transition like? Because I remember coming to a practice before, if you remember, and you said, Sal, I'm going to play front right, and I want you to test me a little bit, right? What was that like, playing front right, trying to get, because mind you, man, this is the first tournament back after 3 years. It's not like, it's not like you're coming into this tournament like, yo, I know what's going on. I know that I can play here. Like you haven't touched a tournament ball. And mind you, tournament ball, very different than practice ball, right? The jitters are there, the nerves are there. Now you got to play a different position. What was that transition like for you?
Man, I underestimate how tough it is to play in the front, number one. It is not easy. And you can't be as big of a risk taker in the front, which is tough for me because I love taking risks.
Yes.
But it matured me as a player, and it made me appreciate frontline players even more than I did before. But it was, my mindset going to that tournament was just, I'm going to go in and soak in everything. I just want to learn.
Yeah.
Everybody else is more experienced. They've won.
Exactly.
Probably one of the best teams I'm going to be a part of. And no matter where we go, however far we get, I'm just going to, whatever I get from them, I'm going to bring it back, and then we'll use it for Minnesota. And that was the goal for it. And it was such a fun tournament, man. We were such a lethal team.
Oh my God. It was so much fun to watch. And you played amazing in the front line. For a guy who doesn't play in the front line, you busted your ass. You played the best you could. You were doing some of the craziest things I've ever seen someone do in the front line. Like, you turned around before the ball was even hit by Rob one time and looked straight at him and pointed at him, like in the middle of the third ball. You're like, let's go. And I was like, whoa, bro, this guy's confidence on another level. He's not even seeing the return. Like, he doesn't even want to look at who's going to return that ball. But you played amazing. You guys played amazing. Also, it's one of those things with you that I truly admire about your game, is that people will get on you about the risks you take because you're an all or nothing player. I've noticed that about your service. I've noticed that about your third ball. I've noticed about your defense. I've noticed that about you in the front line that day. Like, you're an all or nothing guy. And sometimes no risk it, no biscuit, right? Like, you don't take the chance, you may never get it again. And so you're a guy who wants to take the risk, who wants to take the chance. And sometimes it works in your favor and sometimes it doesn't. And yeah, maybe the percentage points aren't there for you. Like, maybe I shouldn't hit this ball hard. Maybe I shouldn't hit this third ball, but you go for it. And when you're on, you're on. It's very much like arcades, very much like that look, like you're just gunning for it. And I'll talk about that in a bit when we get to 2022, because I think that your mentality truly helps your team. And it truly shows the ups and downs of Minnesota. Monti, I'll turn to you for now. In that 2022 Al-Wilaya tournament, you guys dominate the round robin. You lose one game, and I believe that's against Jaffrey's. You beat Orlando for the first time. Stars does. After a very long time, Stars takes down Orlando in the round robin. A lot of big games you guys won. We almost beat you until Maythum got hurt, I think. Darab got hurt. Everyone decided to get hurt that game, but that's besides the point. But you guys were unstoppable. You guys were so good. What was it like winning those big games and now heading into a semifinal where you were probably having the best tournament of your life, Monti? Like, this was written for you to win the Best Netty Award, right? What was that semifinal like for you, and what was that entire experience like, just being that dominant?
There's two things I got from Stanmore that, like, off the court, I was like, holy shit. The first one was, when you're a favorite in a tournament, it's either if you're a favorite in a tournament or if you play with Stars, everybody wants to say what's up to you.
Yeah.
Stars netty, you're the Stars netty. Like so many people. I've never been like a favorite going into a tournament before. But that was kind of cool. Yeah. And the second was, man, Stanmore was a rough environment.
It is.
There was stuff being yelled at us in that semifinals by none other than Mehdi Blue.
Yeah, Mehdi Blue. Yeah.
I'm gonna call them out because they were like mean. Like,
yeah.
Mehdi and another guy, Datu, MD.
Yeah,
MD.
They said Minnesota doesn't belong here. They said
wow.
the moment is too big for you. And then my personal favorite It told Maythum, your shoes are too big for you.
That's Stanmore for you, for sure.
Yeah, but yeah, man, going into that semis, I was having the tournament of my life. I started spiking that tournament,
Yeah, dude.
and I don't know. I honestly, the pressure was very high.
That was, I think, if you had reached the finals, I think that was the tournament that you were going to win best net. And it went to Mikael Darcy, who played amazing as well. And he reached the finals, right? And I mean, he reached the semis, but he had a very good showing in that semis. I mean, he saved a lot of balls down the line. He was doing some crazy shit in that semifinal. But you played out of this world, and unfortunately, it didn't go your way. Very grueling, tough series against Stanmore. What was that like after that tournament? What did you take away from that, Maythum? Like going into now your team, because now you leave Stars, you learn a lot from them. Do you implement on some things like in your mind? Or are you thinking like, okay, now I've gotten the experience, I know what I can do in these moments? It's different, right?
Yeah, big time. First thing was team meeting. Their team meeting was intense, bro.
Oh yeah, I've been there.
We took that, number one.
I've been there.
But ultimately, just the level of like expectation, like you always expect more. That's just it's like a golden rule. You gotta have a higher level of play. You have a high expectation.
Yep.
And everybody bought in. That was my favorite part about United Stars A. And I think that's where clubs like ourselves, we never had that before. Everybody's got too many egos. They don't want to buy in. And because it's a community thing. So, I should have opportunity to touch that. Honestly, there's no way you're going to win if you don't buy into what the goal is. Everybody knows deep down what the right way to go is. And you may have your opinion, but you got to put it aside for those days. And that taught me a lot. So the moment we came back, like, it was simple. Like we got to buy into one way, and this is the way we're going to do it. And whatever way we decide to go, everybody's got to buy in. And say it right now if you don't want to buy in, then that's up to you.
I agree. I played with both Stars and I played with Orlando now. And I realized with these teams that are elite, and Jaffrey's very similar, I'm sure, and they're very similar to this, I'm sure, where like winning isn't enough, right? Like even after you win, they look at their mistakes. They go, wait a second, that was too close for comfort. Or wait a second, we could have improved here. Or wait a second, we need to do this tomorrow. That's different. And I realized that with Orlando. I realized that with Stars. They don't sweat the small stuff necessarily. Sometimes you'll like in this round robin, Orlando, when I was playing with Orlando this time around, we lost to Stanmore. We lost to North. They didn't even bat an eye. They were like, yeah, all good. Move on. Let's go eat. And I'm like, guys, we just lost. And they were like, dude, we learned their game. That's all that matters. When the time comes, we're going to face them. We're going to beat them. Guess what? Next day, North quarterfinals, Stanmore semifinals, two straight. Like for them, it's like, all right, we'll play in the round robin. You can beat us. We're just going to try to see like what you're doing, right? They're going to, let's see what your game plan is. When I was in New York, every loss was like the end of the world. It was like day of judgment over and over again. Like you lose to anybody, it's over, right? And it was like, I learned so much with these teams. Like, man, don't sweat the small stuff. You're good enough to qualify. You're probably going to qualify. Any matchup you get, you can win it. And to be honest, I think you guys took from that because we'll get into 2022 Orlando in a bit. I do want to say something, though. It sucks that Stanmore isn't coming to this tournament because every time I think about 2019, I think about how Stanmore was so good in that tournament in Minnesota. They almost took down Jaffrey's. They were probably the closest team to take down Jaffrey's in 2019. And I really wish they were coming to this tournament.
Yeah, man. Like, I remember when we were in Stanmore, when we went, a bunch of the Stanmore guys came up to us. They were like, thank you so much for coming. Thank you for the support. And like, we're never going to miss another Minnesota tournament. So I mean, all the Stanmore guys watching, man, you guys are gonna miss out.
Yo, they had 5 teams go to MAM to Stanmore. They had 5 teams. There was A to E. One, just send one.
Oh, that's funny, man.
Yes. Like, I feel like with Stanmore, it's like, look, you guys made it to the semis in Orlando. You guys made it to the semis in Minnesota 2019.
Yeah.
So I mean, like you guys win Wilaya every time, whatever, right? But it's like in order for you guys to finally get some credibility, I would say, in here in the States or in North America, it's like we're gonna miss you guys, man.
Yeah, we will. We will definitely miss Stanmore. They're one of the top teams, man. Like they make tournaments, and it's unfortunate that they're not coming. And whatever it is, I hope they figured it out, and I hope that we'll see them in New York 2024. If you guys haven't heard, you will soon. 2022 continues for you guys in Edmonton, where you guys take a team for the Tagara Memorial Cup. And it's starting to look like what a new Minnesota team would look like. Remember, post-pandemic now, 3 years removed, you guys' first tournaments with Stars. So we never got to see Minnesota. Now we're seeing Minnesota for the first time with this new team filled with youth and experience both. Because now, Maythum, you're 10 years into the game. Monti, you're 7 years into the game. Masen, 10 years into the game. And Mawaji, 15 years into the game. So now the experience is you guys. You're not the youth anymore. The youth are guys like Al-Batoush, Mohamed Al-Batoush, Mehdi Al-Batoush, Irfan Kassam, right? Like you guys got Yassine. Now you guys got those guys who are leaning on you to be those guys, that the safety net, the guys that are going to help them get through all this. And a very, one thing I'll tell you guys are very good at figuring out where to put guys to best, use their abilities and cover up their flaws. And you guys have done a wonderful job at that. And that tournament, if you notice, you guys did some weird stuff. Like you put Mohamed Al-Batoush in front of Masen, but then put Kamel Laka Jr. behind Masen. And it was like one of those weird formations, but it worked. And you guys get to the finals. Now, I want to talk about two guys in particular, Amu and Sib, because I don't think they get enough credit for sticking around this long, for the ups and downs, for almost being that voice for you guys, right? And that in that tournament, you watch Amu and Sib, man, back there. Mind you guys have like 15 players on your team. So you can easily lose Amu and Sib, right? But you see Amu and Sib in that tournament and you go, man, like those guys are in, bro. Like they're in for the ride. They're there throughout thick and thin. You can tell that it's a different team from the past, but it's funny because now you have the Amu generation, you have the Imran Walji Maythum generation, the Imran Walji generation, the Maythum Monti generation, and now the new generation, right? Like it's all now combined. Everyone is together. Everyone's trying to make the run. You make the run, you give Banff boys a run for their money. And at any point, Monti, in that final, because you were close, you spike on Imran Juraj, get him back for what he did to Maythum in 2015, I think. That was your revenge for your boy. What was that time?
I didn't spike on him. I dropped him.
Oh, you dropped him. Sorry, you drop him. What was that time like for you? Like in that final, are you like, yo, we can do this. We can beat this all-star team that had Imran Juraj, Turab, Arif Ali, MZ, JJ, Irfan Kamali, Jabir, like Hassan Manekia. Like, wow. Like you guys almost had it.
Yeah, we did. I honestly, it was, first of all, I feel like it was our biggest volleyball accomplishment, that tournament, actually getting to the finals, right? Yeah. I mean, I was crying. I think you were crying before we even played the finals, right? Yeah. So it's like we're going into it like, you know what? Let's complete. We're a Cinderella story, right? These guys' first tournament playing with us, a lot of these younger guys, and it was like, I thought we had them. Like we were coming back in that second game.
Yes.
And I remember they blew the whistle and the game was, I think we were down by 1 point.
Yeah.
Something like that. And it was like, man.
Like just like, if, right? What if? Yeah.
One more minute and we had them.
Yeah, true. Maythum, you played amazing that tournament. You come out a little bit, right? Like now you're coming out of your shell. You're getting to kind of open up. You've now realized the potential of your game. But you did mention in something that's going to be released, you guys have probably already watched this at this point. But the Around the Horn segment, that you didn't realize how important a serviceman was until that Edmonton final, and you made a couple of mistakes in the serve. I think a couple less service mistakes, and you guys could have potentially pulled out a game at least.
100%. That was for sure my fault, and that was a good lesson for me. I learned a lot from that tournament because just not trying to force it anymore. I always had the mentality going in, complete opposite of Imran, which is like
complete opposite,
consistent, fake consistent, and I'm like, risk, let's go. We got nothing to lose here.
Yeah.
And it really disciplined me, even though I didn't think we were gonna win. But it really disciplined me, and I saw what it could do if we just played smarter. And definitely appreciate what Amu does. He's very consistent at what he does, but it also shows like Sib really helped. Like that was the first tournament I told him like, yo, don't play. I just want you to come. And if you get in, obviously get in, but you got to be our outside eyes. And I feel like every successful team that's there right now, that's won, always has that person there that basically is like, here's what you're doing wrong. Here's what I think you need to do, which is huge because we didn't have that. We didn't have somebody. Now we have the outside being like, yo, I can see this right now. Switch this or do this. So that was our first. I mean, like, I still can't believe we got to the finals. I know it was like not that competitive a tournament, but bro, like that was our first time going with that team. It was
awesome.
Huge for us,
it was awesome. So, it was awesome.
That was big.
It was amazing to see. At some point, you know, obviously Masen has a come out tournament, and I was watching. I was in New York at the time. I was in Florida, but I traveled to New York for a little trip. Me and Sepp are watching with Arman, and he's like, that's my uncle, right? Like, that's Dai right there. And he's like, I'm like, dude, Masen's killing it. Like, you guys just had a vibe, bro, and it worked because, again, like, you guys put everyone in position to succeed. A couple months later, Orlando, we see a very similar team, almost identical, and that's 2 months after. So a lot of, obviously, I'm sure a lot of aspirations, but at the same time, a lot of confidence. Like, okay, we're heading into this tournament. We got our hands set. We kind of know what we're doing. And it didn't start off great. A lot of struggle, a lot of ups and downs, some real tough overtime losses. You lose to New York in overtime. I think you lose to Al Ahad Youth, right? Like, there's a couple of tough losses there. At any point, Monty, when you're sitting there and now you're realizing, man, we got to fight in this play-in to make it, are you like, wow, like this isn't clicking as well as we thought?
Yeah, 100%. As soon as we lose to the Allentown U team, I remember I went and sat on the bleachers by myself for 30 minutes.
Really?
I was like, I cannot wait until tomorrow. After this day is done, we're probably not even going to qualify. I want to go. I have a nice swaggy outfit ready for what I'm going to wear tomorrow. The quarters, semis, and finals. I did not want to play volleyball.
We were all sick, actually.
Yeah.
Like, 2 of our guys were throwing up.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah, it was not good. That was bad.
It's funny, man. You tell me that, Monty, about, you guys, you were sitting in the bleachers. It's funny how everyone's tournament, and I don't mean to bring in like this psychology or whatever, but it's just food for thought, right? Everyone's tournament experience is so different. It's like, my tournament experience was amazing because it was like, yo, we won all our games and I didn't have to ever sit on the bleacher alone. I never had to be upset. And the last time I did that was never. Like, there was always tournaments that I was upset, right? There was always tournaments where I sat there like, damn, like contemplating my career. For you, right? Like, different story. You guys, you're sitting there. So it's funny, man. Anytime you're in a tournament, and maybe this time around, if people are keeping their eyes open, just watch teams, watch vibes. Like, you can really see a lot of stories in people's eyes and people's mannerisms. You'll tell a team when they're confident, they're all bubbly, they want to talk. Teams that are losing, don't baraza with them, bro. They don't want to talk to you. They don't want to see you. Like, you probably, and don't go to a guy after a loss. That's like the worst thing you can do, by the way. Don't go to a guy after a loss, because some guys, maybe they'll be like nice to you. Some guys probably going to be messed up. Like, they're probably going to be a little bit angry. Give them some time, give them some. But it's funny how everyone's tournament experience is so different. And you don't realize that. Like, when I saw you, Monty, I always saw you chilling, vibing. Like, we're watching Sammy, we're watching like, but then there were times, like you said, like 30 minutes, you sat on the bleacher and contemplating, like, what are we doing? Like, what's going on?
I was by myself. I sat all the way in that corner. And I was just like, you know what? I'm done with this. I'm done with the sport. I don't want to play ball anymore. Like, I'm over this shit.
I've been there, man. I've been there. At some point, something does click, though. And that's where I go back to the mentality that Maythum has. And the vibes he gives off, because the no risk it, no biscuit mentality gives you that feeling of like, you can come in 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th because you're now not playing well because the risks are not going your way. But then there are times where it all turns and the risks do start going your way. And the low percentage chances you're taking are now all coming to fruition because somebody thinks, somebody decides, somebody gives you an idea to play a V. Who suggests that idea for you and Imran to play the corner, Masen to play in the middle? And when it starts clicking, do you notice it? Do you notice the change? Like, wait a second, this could work. Maythum, who tells you about this? And what makes you guys go for it at that point? Like, screw it. Let's just try it.
It was Amu and Sib.
Wow.
And that was a change. And exactly what we were all planning. Like, those eyes are going to help us. It worked. It just, I don't know, it just changed everything. And from that point on, it just, it was unbelievable. Like, it just paid out. I told Sib, like, yo, you're like, it's done. Like, this is exactly what I meant. Like, you guys need to watch I think Amu said, I don't remember, but he's gonna get buttered if I don't give him the credit.
Yeah,
So
Amu said he said it. Yeah.
yeah. Amu said he said this.
Move.
But yeah, but it was definitely a cool. That was awesome, man.
When you guys it's working now, and you guys feel like it's working. Any part of you is like everyone bought in, or was it one of those ideas like, all right, fine, let's try it. It's not gonna work. We suck anyways. Or was everyone like, yo, well, let's do this. Let's make this work.
No, in the beginning, it was definitely tough to buy in, but I think we all started seeing the vibe is changing. We're getting points.
Yeah.
I for sure will say that round robin made me realize how tough it is to win. So all these teams who win, Stars, Joffreys, Orlando, it is not easy to win, man. It is like you take it for granted, but that thing can be taken away from you so fast without just losing control. And
exactly.
Yeah, it just started just coming together, and we all started just buying in, but most importantly, we just went back to our basics. Like, let's just go have fun. Forget 100%. The sport. It's going to take care of itself. Just let's get down to the basics and just play.
Agreed. And to be honest, it's not even hard. It's extremely hard to win. Let's get that out of the way. I've never won. So for me, it's like, except until Orlando. Like for me, yeah, okay, cool. It's very hard to win. It's very difficult to make a final. Look at the path that you guys take. You guys end up having to play a play-in against North and Lambada. You beat North, you get into the 7th seed. Now you got to play Orlando B, who came in second, they trashed everybody. Okay, they played out of this world. I believe you guys lose the first game, or no, you're down really big the first game, like 8-1, right? Or 7-1. Make a crazy comeback, right? Like you have to do that. Now, okay, now you're playing Orlando B, that V is not working a little bit. You guys are probably, oh my God. But it comes around, it starts working. You guys beat Orlando B. Now you got to play United Stars, okay? You got to play Thurab. You beat Thurab 2 straight. You beat Stars 2 straight. Now you got to go in the finals and play Orlando. Like, dude, just your journey to get to the finals, at that point, you had run out of gas. You're done. Like, it's over. Like, for you, it's like almost like, I don't even know how we're going to pull this off. Even with momentum, even with adrenaline, very difficult. And I'm not saying this because I've reached X amount of finals and I've never won, but making the final, guys, very difficult. There's a lot of top teams that people swear and they talk about, oh my God, they're so good. They don't make finals. They always talk about these things. They don't make finals. Making the final is freaking difficult, right? And so a lot of kudos to you guys. Monty, when you guys are going in this run now, you're playing Orlando B, beat Stars. Like, it's like, and Stars, very much hits home for you guys, right? We're all very close to Thurab. At the same time, you played with him just 6-8 months ago. Now you're playing him in a semifinal. One of you guys are going to the finals. What was that like? And how was your game? How were you able to adapt to lifting the V? What was that like? Was that difficult for you?
So I mean, it was difficult at first. I had to kind of get adjusted to it, but I mean, over here when we're practicing, there's a lot of times where, for example, if I'm playing with Maythum or if I'm playing with Imran, it's like most of the time they're not playing the back center position.
Yeah, they're playing on the sides. Yeah,
multiple different positions to kind of give everybody a chance. So lifting to them on the side was something that I feel like I've always been kind of used to. But man, that atmosphere and the pressure and the nerves, that was insane, especially against Orlando. Because then it's like everybody's watching, right? It's the finals. Yeah. I mean, against the Stars, it was definitely there as well. But it's still like, okay, we've been here before. Like we've been before, Exactly. Won the first game of semis against Stars before.
Exactly.
It was crazy.
You were dying out in that final. You got injured. You were just done. You were spent. I mean, you were working your tail off.
Yeah. I was definitely. I was just very like, I hadn't eaten. That's what happened in the final. Yeah. I hadn't eaten.
Not a good idea. Yeah.
I didn't want to wait an hour and a half to get OMG,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no. Made sense, but you were busting your butt. You end up winning the Best Netty Award, which you totally deserved. A lot of Minnesota fans in that final, man. The Minnesota crowd was louder than the Orlando crowd. And it was almost because, like, surreal, amazing story, almost Cinderella-like. Both those games actually very close. Even though it looked like Orlando won 2 straight, and they were close games. You guys still were there, right? Maythum, you lose that game, obviously, in front of, a lot of your hometown people in Minnesota, but also your wife, who's from Orlando. What was it for? Like, yo, I'm gonna beat these guys, man. Like, you know, like I'm gonna put it to you. Like, was it in that in your mind, or were you just spent at that point?
No, I was finished, man.
Yeah.
Honestly, we went into that game. We didn't have like against Orlando B. We had a game plan. Every game from the plane, we had a game plan who we're going after. That finals game, we didn't have a game plan. We're just like, yo, let's just go play. Let's just go hit.
Yeah, see what
So
happens.
we're here, bro. Like we made it. Like I cannot believe we are sitting here right now.
Exactly.
Appreciate it, enjoy it, remember it, and we'll learn
Dude,
from it. No
the
problem.
night before, you're probably like, wow, we are going to need outfits. We're going to go home very upset, very sad. And the next day, and this is the beauty of volleyball, this is the beauty of this sport, anything can happen any given Sunday, right? And you guys end up in the finals. What are your aspirations this time around? Hometown tournament. And I talk about Minnesota a lot, likening them to New York. We made a lot of finals, we made a lot of semis. We almost came close, a lot of times, very close. 1 point away against Stars, a couple points away from against another team. In our case, we were very close many times. You guys have been very close many times too. And now it's like almost like this is the perfect time for you guys to win. 10 years later for you, Maythum, 7 years later for you, Monti, a lot of hard work, a lot of, the process of the rebuild. We talk about it, not qualifying, then quarters, then semis, then finals. And people, they doubted you. Even after the Edmonton final, a lot of people doubted you. Oh, it was a small tournament, blah, blah, blah. Can they do it again? And you did it again on the biggest stage with all the teams there. You did it. What, Maythum, for you, what is your aspirations this time around? It's time for us to win. There's no more rebuild. The rebuild is done. We're contenders now. I talk about the 4 stages of a rebuild, right? You're now at the contending stage of the rebuild. Is it win or bust?
It is not win or bust. Odds are against us, 100%. We got a lot of odds against us. It's not a perfect situation. But there's one thing that's going for us, and that's going to be definitely on Friday. Everybody's going to be doubting us.
Yeah.
And no one is counting us right now. I can promise you the moment they see Friday, they're not going to be counting us. But these guys have worked too hard, man. All these guys, we've worked way too hard to just say we're not going to go for the dub. We're going to go for that dub. We're going to for sure make a run, but it's going to be really definitely the most challenging weekends we'll probably go through. 100%. It's going to be hard.
Monti, for you, obviously now you've won the Best Netty Award. All the accolades for yourself, selfishly, you've done it. You're at the top. Probably the best netty in the game, if not one of the best netties in the game, right? You don't need anything like that. You just need a dub. You just need a championship. And I know how much you've always wanted to just win. You've always been that guy. We always talk about it, you and I. Like, you just want to win, man. Like, me too. I just always wanted to just win. I don't give a shit about anything else. MVPs, accolades, best backsetter, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth. Me and Turab would have that conversation all the time. Like, yo, who do you think is first? Who do you think first? I think I'm better than you, blah, blah. I'd be like, bro, I don't care if I'm ninth. But if I'm winning, naturally, everyone's going to talk about you, right? Everyone's going to know how good you truly are. Now is your time to do that. With all the pieces you got around, it's like these guys, like you said, they've worked hard. They've taken a lot of heat. They've taken a lot of doubts. They've turned them around. What is your aspiration? What do you think happens this tournament for you guys, and what's your goal?
These guys specifically, especially from Orlando, Yasin Huda, Irfan Qasim, Muhammad Al-Badoush, Mehdi Al-Badoush, Mikhail Mullah, Gumalaka. Like, Gumalaka these guys get all the credit. Like, this is their first tournament playing with us, right? First tournament on the A team, not including Edmonton. So they get all the credit. They put in all the work. 3 years, 2.5 years, or whatever, of just grinding, playing volleyball. We never stopped playing volleyball. Even through COVID, we would play outside if we could.
Yeah.
And these guys deserve all the credit. But now coming home, I think that's the biggest thing, right? It's like this is the best situation, like you said, for us, right? Yeah, there's going to be a lot of doubters. I think more doubters than we've ever had before, probably, in any tournament. But when it comes to playing at home, like, there's nothing like that's. I feel like we are one of the only teams in volleyball that actually have a home court advantage.
You do, 100%.
And I think that's gonna be huge for us come Sunday. So
very difficult to play in the NPC. Very difficult to understand how loud it gets, how crazy it is, how humid it is, how fun it is, the amount of people walking in and out, how like just the crowd environment, it's unreal. It's like no other, truly. Like if it's very, very much likened to Stanmore and them playing in Aldenham. It's very much like that. Like it's very like it's in your face, you know? And you guys get to do that. In 2016, you didn't have that. In 2019, you did. You almost pulled it out. And now you have it again. And now you have an opportunity to finally close out the chapter of your rebuild. I want to talk about your team, but we'll talk about that when you give me your predictions. Anyways, back to the rapid fire now. You guys are done. Rapid fire, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go 1-1. So, Maythum, I'll go with you, 1, and then I'll go to Monti, next one. First, one sentence, you know, something short about the names I'm going to give you. Maythum, for you, Imran Walji.
Go.
Wow. Okay. Monti, Masen. Masen Nicknam. A lot of people know him as Nicknam. Masen Nicknam. Tell me about it.
That's my brother. 100%. We've been through so much shit in the last freaking 15 years. Like that's my ride or die brother.
Maythum Amu Kimji.
What's his rapid fire?
It's rapid fire.
No, it's okay. Take your time. Take your time. Yeah, take your time. You can give me a sentence. You don't gotta give me one word.
Like for some, he may be considered as not useful. He may not be considered as important, but he is freaking important and he is committed. Yes. He is ready to give a spot up if he has to. He's all in. Yes. He just wants to see it win, and he trusts. And there's very few people his age who still come out for every practice. Exactly. Matter they don't get playing time, they'll still come out. And he's a vibe. But really, if we can somehow win it, he's definitely on the list of why we can win it.
Oh, for sure. I think if you guys win it, a lot of guys forget about those guys, like that are playing third or serving or whatever. He's one of the main reasons. Like he deserves that chip more than a lot of people. Monti, Sibi Remtullah.
Honestly, Sibi is the one who taught me everything I know about volleyball. Between Sib and Maythum, they're the whole reason I play volleyball. They're the whole reason why I play net, and they've taught me everything about it. So I think when it comes to Sibi, is like honestly my biggest mentor.
Maythum, Irfan Kassam, best defensive player in Orlando.
He has the opportunity to be the best front center in the game in the next 5 years if he keeps going where he's going.
Wow, I like that. Monti, Mohammed Al Batoush, his Irfan's right-hand man.
Honestly, I think that trophy that Irfan got in Orlando could have gone to Batoush.
Agreed.
But I think when it comes to Batoush, it's, I want to put this the right way. Honestly, commitment, dedication, and hardworking.
Yeah, true. I agree. Maythum Yassine Huda, the guy who plays directly in front of you.
He is going to be. He's gonna. I think he's gonna be definitely a superstar. Give him like 5 or 7 years. He's gonna get there. He's gonna mature as a player on the court. But I look at him and he wants to be like Imran Javaj. I think he'll reach his goal one day. I think he's gonna get there. He has the potential to do it. He's just gotta calm down. But he's a freaking good.
He's a great player, man. Monti KLJ Kumelaka Jr., the guy who can do everything. He can do legit everything on the court. I'll let you talk about him in a second, but funny story. We come to your practice this time in May, me and Hilal do. If you guys remember, we came for the golf thing, right? So we come to practice, right? And Maythum's smacking us. Like me and Hilal are lost. Like we're playing back right, back left. We don't know what to do. So I turned to Hilal, and Hilal's like not taking it seriously, but I'm like, yo, Hilal, like we can't let Maythum beat us like this in his practice. Like we gotta give him a game. So Hilal's like, okay, I know what that means. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, you're pretty much nicely telling me to go in the front center. I'm like, yeah, bro, like go in the front center. You know what I'm saying? So Hilal's like, okay, I'll go in the front center, but who's gonna play behind me? And I'm like, you're Kumelaka Jr. And not in a disrespectful way, but Hilal's like, Kumelaka Jr. is going to play back center. And I was like, bro, trust me. Kumelaka Jr. plays the same everywhere. He is just that guy. He can do anything at any moment, at any time. He'll just do it. And he'll do it at the best of his ability. And the best of his ability is probably better than most. And Hilal was like, all right, let's give it a shot. Yo, halfway through that game, Hilal turns around. He's like, who the hell is this guy? He's like, this guy's amazing. And I was like, dude, imagine. This guy's amazing. And he's not even playing the whole time. Like, he's just there for them, like, whenever they need him. Kumelaka Jr., man, doesn't get enough credit, bro. That guy, I've seen him play net in videos, front side, front center, back right, V, third line. Like, he does everything. So, Monty, tell me about Kumelaka Jr.
Kumelaka Jr. is a Swiss Army knife.
Yeah.
Kumelaka Jr. can play any freaking position you want him to. And that, too, like you said, better than most.
Yeah.
Right? He is arguably one of the best players on our team. Right? And for him to not play against Stars and against Orlando is like, there's nothing more team oriented than that.
Yeah.
Like he's our Swiss Army knife.
Agreed. Maythum, for you, a guy you played a lot with. Monty didn't get to play with him too much. Kumelaka Sr. Talk to me about his meaningfulness to your rebuild in Minnesota, because he played a very big role.
Huge role. He was on our first kids team. He was actually supposed to be our supervisor. That's why he came. But anyways, he is the most realist teammate as far as having your back.
Agreed.
The person might say something very factual about you, but he'll somehow try to turn it and still be like, no, you're wrong. He's good. He's really good. He's really good. Like, he has your back no matter what it is.
Agreed.
But I'm so glad he got, like, our friendship changed because of volleyball, and he came in, like I said, like it was vibes. I remember, like, if he was still here, he'd 100% be on this 18.
Oh, 100%. 100%. And he would deserve the accolades, because I saw him during the tough times, busting his butt, playing front center with Imran. You know, he was older than you guys, but he was a perfect fit, very energetic, always into the game. It sucks that he doesn't play volleyball anymore. And I always try to tell him to come back. And maybe he'll listen to me. Maybe he'll listen to this interview, and maybe he'll come back, because I really thought he was an amazing player, and he fit a lot of systems. He could have gone to play with Stars. He could have gone to play with so many people and fit their system. Such a good player, fun player, energetic, like I said, and the biggest optimist, right? Like, he was just like, he could win. He feels he's winning every game. Like even if you guys are losing lovely, he's like, no, we can come back. We can win, you know? Maybe after that, a little downer, but in it, while he's in it, he's feeling it. Monty, Mehdi Al-Batoush, your right-hand man.
My partner.
Yeah.
My partner. There is crack. Believe it or not, Mehdi Al-Batoush is more bangi on the court than Maythum is. Believe it or not.
I could see it.
He honestly is someone, no disrespect to any of the other netties that I've played with, but there hasn't been a single net that I've played with that I've let play, like, split the net with as much as I split it with him. So honestly, my partner in crime. 100%.
Honestly, Mehdi Al-Batoush, what turned for him, I always knew he had potential. I always told him he was going to be the next big thing. I always, mess with him like that. He's just a fun dude. When he had the balls to spike on Orlando in that final, that's when I looked at him. I was like, my man, like, you are going to make it in this game. You are going to make it, because there are guys I've seen, like Safe, like Monty, like all these guys who don't want to spike in those big moments. That kid's like, no chance, bro. I'm going to take my chance right now, and I'm going to spike. And, how hyped he got, we all got scared. We're like, yo, who is this guy? I'm going to turn to you, Maythum. Mikal Mullah. Tell me about him a little bit.
He gets too down on himself too much. He has a lot of potential as a player.
Such great potential.
Solid player. And I think this tournament will be really good for him.
I think so too. Yeah.
But I would say he has a lot of potential. He can turn a lot of heads. Watch out for Minnesota B. Watch out for Minnesota.
Monty, Jeff. Just Jeff. Like, he's just he's just that guy.
Yeah, Jeff is the only guy to ever play with the Apple Watch on.
Yo, he doesn't. They don't have to do this stand up. It's time to stand up.
Man, Jeff is just a vibe, man. Like he always like Jeff is the guy that when we would play with Jeff and we would lose a close game or we'd get whenever we'd lose, he'd always know the right thing to say.
Yeah.
Like because I feel like I'm gonna quote you right now. Wears his emotions on a sleeve, and I feel like I wear my emotions on my sleeve as well as this guy probably more than I do. Yeah. And I felt like Jeff always knew what to tell us at the right time.
Jeff is that guy, like, he doesn't talk the whole tournament, but in the moment you need someone to talk, he just comes out and says something, and you're like, yo, what? Where have you been the last 3 days? You know?
He's a OG Minnesota Joffrey Sports of Minnesota volleyball legend.
100%. 2011, he was there when he won, and he's still there. Like, he's still helping, right? Whenever he can. Maythum, for you, Hassan Mullah, a big part of the early days, right?
Huge part. And he probably would have been something that would be on the 18 probably as well if it wasn't for his health thing. But
right.
What I would say is he's a winner. He's a winner. He really wants to win. Like, and to prove that, he's the coach for the B team. That's all he comes for. He comes for practice. And he's freaking. Yeah, he's taken on that role and he loves it.
Dude, that's awesome.
All that. So he got back involved in that way, and I'm glad to see him back somehow.
Dude, that's awesome, man. Wow, great to hear. I always missed him. I always was like, again, another guy, like after Kumelaka left, he was the guy. And then when he left, you had to put Alias Kowalji. Like, it was just like back and forth, back and forth. Speaking of Alias Kowalji, Monti. Alias Kowalji.
Oscar, man. We went to war together, man. We went to war a few times with Oscar, man. He is passionate, is probably what I would say. There is no one who screams louder at practice.
Seriously, yeah.
There is no one I've never seen in my entire life of playing volleyball, of playing sports in general. I've never seen anybody dive face first before the game started in a practice. Like, and he'll dive and he'll hit the ball, and it's literally 2 people on each side. Like,
Alias Kowalji made his name. Yeah, Alias Kowalji made his name as back center of that youth team. JJJ, they called him for his stomp and the way he hit like JJ. And if you watch him, man, he has played everywhere. He's played in the corners, he's played in the front center, he's played on the wings. The guy does it all. Whatever the team needs, he was always there. He's always there. So a lot of credit to Alias Kowalji, man. Doesn't get enough credit for what he's done for Minnesota. Maythum, we're almost done. A couple more. Biggest win and most fun moment for you on the court, if you had to recall it. I think I kind of know what it is, but it could.
I'm going with Stars A.
You're going what?
Stars A, United Stars A, Orlando semifinals.
Really? Wow, bigger than 2015, beating Orlando in that quarters.
Yeah, it was really cool to see. I think the priceless moment was to finally see these guys came in their second tournament and we made it to the finals with these guys. That was priceless. We put a lot of work and effort for that.
Monty, for you, biggest win and most fun moment?
Because he said Orlando against Stars, I'm not going to say that. Joffrey. Beating Joffrey.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Maythum, toughest loss you've taken?
I know my answer.
Oh, boy. Oh, I'm too optimistic, bro. That's a tough question for me. Like, I feel like everything was like,
it's got to be one that just.
Yo, honestly, losing to one that stands out. Ooh.
I have 2.
Okay.
These guys just done.
Honestly, the most disappointing one was losing to Orlando semifinals in 2019.
Ah, yes. I like
that.
That
was disappointing.
Yeah. What about you, Monty?
Yeah, that one definitely hurt the most.
Yeah.
But the second one that's right under it was Stanmore.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see that.
In semis, yeah.
Yeah. Maythum, top 3 centers in the game.
Are we considering Lombard as a back center?
Sure. Yeah, of course.
I'm gonna go with Durab, go with Imran, go with Lambada, and Alu's right there.
Okay. Top 3 netties. Monty. You can say yourself too, by the way. You don't have to be humble. Because you're in my top 3.
I would say in safe Asamaneki Mikael Darcy.
Okay. So Orlando, pretty much. Maythum, who you love matching up against the most? Who out of everybody ever in volleyball did you get up to play the most?
United Stars. Hey.
Yeah, me too. Monty, for you, obviously netty matchups are different, but
no, there is playing against Stars A is just something.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, we're done with the rapid fire, but I'm not gonna let you go. 5 more minutes of your time. Monty, we'll start with you. Actually, Maythum, we'll start with you because I know you're gonna give me the politically correct one. Monty might be a little more real. Maythum, give me your predictions. Give me your, I want this. I want the top 4 and I want the finals. I don't need to know who's gonna win. I just want the top 4 and the last 2 in the finals.
Okay. So I'm gonna go with Orlando Stars.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go with Minnesota and New York.
Wow. Okay.
And finals, I'm going with Stars in Minnesota.
Oh. Okay. Sounds good. Monty?
Okay, so obviously you have Stars in Orlando are up there. I don't know, man. It's tough because I don't
that's why I asked you.
Yeah, like who's coming? Who's North bringing?
Nobody knows. Yeah, you should know. I wouldn't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I would say Minnesota, 100%. And that 4th spot, man, that 4th spot's up. Even that 3rd and 4th spot, I think it's up for grabs. But yeah, I'm gonna give it to North.
Okay, I like it.
I think North always finds a way to come out. Like no matter who they have, they're a team that's they fight more than anybody else.
True. Who's in the finals for you?
North.
No, wow. I was gonna say, man, you really love North, huh?
Political.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna say Minnesota and Stars.
Okay, who wins? Because now you guys both got the same final. So I gotta ask you now. Who wins? Stars or Minnesota? You've come this far.
No, Stars are gonna win. I give Stars the win, but the only reason
Monty's face is like, what?
I mean, I'm optimistic.
Yeah, I'm optimistic. Obviously, I'm optimistic, but I mean, like, I don't know. The only thing we're banking on is in our gym. So we're ready. That's the only thing that's going.
Home crowd, home gym, anything can happen, man.
Anything can happen. So,
doesn't matter how many superstars they got. Like doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter.
We'll let Stars take it for the prediction. No problem.
Thank you guys so much. I want to end with something. And I want to give you guys a lot of credit for, and I know I talked about this in my previous podcasts and, in the audio ones and stuff like that. But whoever's going to be watching this, Minnesota Jaffreys have come a long way. And I remember when I was doing what you guys were doing, nobody ever came to me. People came to me, but nobody was ever able to sit here and say this, on camera where people are watching and really give recognition and put the spotlight on you guys. You guys have worked hard. You guys have been very inclusive. Like I've said before, Iraqis, Iranis, Levi, everything. You want a mixed bag of goods, you go to Minnesota Jaffrey's practice and you'll see that. You'll have a lot of fun. You'll have the greatest time. Very, very accommodating, very good community, very good people. And they have everyone there playing. They don't say no to anybody. They give everybody a shot. I remember I was at Levi's first practice and I came this past time and I was like, brother, this guy has improved. Like he actually played. I've seen Yasin at the bottom. Now I see Yasin at the top. I'm lucky enough to come to Minnesota. I don't know if I shouldn't say lucky enough, but I come to Minnesota quite a few times. You guys are always very accommodating. And when I do come, I've seen these kids grow. You know, Suhail, Irfan, you know, Amu, every practice, you're right. He's there. Sibi, like Jeff. Jeff had knee issues, still found a way to come. Like, man, so many kids bust their butts. They're there. They're. And you guys, for like, what I love about you guys so much, and this is what I love about Van City too. You guys did it with your own guys. You're not asking for help. You're not asking for handouts. You don't need nobody. You're doing it on your own. And let's be real, okay? Let's, for 1 second, let's just be real, okay? Orlando, what made Orlando so much fun to watch and what made them so gifted was that they did it on their own. They didn't ask for help. Their dynasty was built on their own sweat, right? Some teams, they go out there and get talent. Orlando didn't. You guys built this on your own. You're in the finals now today, multiple times. Van City has built it on their own. New York has built it on their own. When I was coming up, I never asked nobody for help. Never once took a player. The only time I took a player was if Orlando wasn't coming, we're going to a tournament and we're having a good time. That's it. For real, never took a player. Because it was always like, nah, I want to do it with my guys. You guys are doing the same thing. So thank you for being inclusive. Thank you for doing it the right way. Thank you for busting your asses. Thank you for trying your very best to give a small community like Minnesota, all the youth, hope that, listen, you don't need superstars. You don't need all these guys. You can do it. And you know what? Credit to you, Maythum, for hanging in there for the tough times. Credit to Imran Walji for taking the changes now as it comes along with the V, and he was very okay with it. Like, he played his tail off with an injury. Like, bro, that guy deserves all the credit. Monty, to you for sticking it out. Masen for, you know, being that other guy, you know, that everyone looked at like, man, Iranian guy playing volleyball, like, you know, and now people know who he is. People are like, you know, when I say Masen, they're like, what are you talking about? When I say nickname, they're like, oh yeah, that guy, you know, and Kumelaka Jr. and, you know, Batush and like all these kids, man, like, credit to you guys for getting to where you are. Because honestly, not a lot of people could do it. Tomorrow, if you never win, which inshallah you do very soon, if you never win, I still think all the credit in the world should go to you guys for what you guys have done. You've beat the best. If you truly look at it, you've beat the best. Everyone calls Thurab the best center in the game. You've taken him down. You've taken down Orlando at one point when they were the best. You've taken down all the top teams. There's nobody you haven't taken down. You guys have always done well against everybody. And you know what? It's going to come. One day or another, it's going to come. Just don't lose hope, because at some point, I remember I did. Just keep fighting. And whatever obstacles are coming your way, like you said, Friday, there may be doubters. People may look at you differently. People might count you in now, but on Friday, they may not. Whatever's coming your way, just understand one thing. You'll fight through it. You have enough pieces. You'll figure it out. Whatever. It can't get worse than it happened in Orlando, right? You guys are almost out. And you guys will find your way back in. And especially at home, I pray that you guys win. If Orlando doesn't win, in my heart of hearts, I want Minnesota to win. Like, I swear to God, I want Minnesota to win this tournament. I love Stars. I love my brothers there. I love Orlando. Obviously, I want us to win. I'm going to say we're going to win. I love Van City. I love New York. Those are all my guys, right? I love everybody. I love Allentown. Sammy's back. I love everybody. But for me, I've been where you were, Maythum. I've seen that. Like, loss after loss, it piles up. It can bring you down. People expectations. It's always easier to chase. Like I said, always hard to be chased. Back-to-back finalists, people are chasing you, right? Just make sure that, you keep that look, I'm chasing it mentality. And I promise you guys are going to do well.
I appreciate that. And I think same, I mean, more credit due to what you do with New York. And I think now they're starting to realize the impact that you had. Like, that's tough. And already everybody else notices, like, dude, you went from like competing for finals. Now they got to figure it out to just get to semis now. Right. You know, like, they're still figuring that out. So credit to you, but yeah, it's going to be a tough weekend for us, but we'll get through it.
Yeah. Good luck. Thank you guys for your time. I appreciate it. And Monty, Best Netty Award. I hope that you keep it this time, and I hope you do it again. Right? Hopefully this time a little more spikes, a couple more spikes.
This time, hopefully we can bring a championship, so it doesn't matter who that Best Netty Award goes to.
Thank you guys for your time, man. I appreciate it. Thank you for being here. We're done, guys. No more interviews. I'll see you next time. Next time will probably be at the tournament. Hopefully I get to commentate a couple of games. You get to hear my voice. Probably you guys are all tired of it. If not, New York 2024, we got a great group of guests lined up. Announcements are coming out. A lot of good things are coming out. You guys will hear about that. Thank you, guys. Lifted, thanks you all. Thank you to Minnesota Jaffrey's. Thank you to my editor, Zara Virgi. Thank you to Mazahir. Thank you to everybody who made this possible. Thank you, Maythum and Monti. And thank you for being here. Good night, everybody. And I love you all.